This is Rock That Doesn't Roll, the story of Christian music. I am Andrew Gill, a music journalist who grew up listening to Christian rock. But today I work as a producer on a show not usually about Christian rock. It's called Sound Opinions, and today I'm bringing you an episode of Sound Opinions as a feed drop here on the Rock That Doesn't Roll feed. If you haven't heard Sound Opinions, it's hosted by Jim DeRogatis and Greg Kot, two longtime music journalists, probably a dozen or more books between the two of them. And occasionally they allow me to do an interview of an artist that I really care about. So that's what we have here today. I interviewed John Darnielle of the Mountain Goats, one of my favorite artists, and I know many of our listeners are fans of the Mountain Goats as well, not least of which because he is an artist who identifies as a Christian, and he's put out an album, The Life of the World to Come, that every song was named after a Bible verse. And his new book this year is a little bit like a devotional. Not that he considers his lyrics scripture, but it is a book where for each day of the year there is a song, the lyrics of a song, as well as commentary on those lyrics. So if you did so choose, you could, have a little quiet moment and read a song each day of the year if you like. The book is called This Year. It's 365 songs annotated, a book of days by John Darnielle. And I was happy to get the chance to interview him for Sound Opinions. So we'll have that in just a moment. First, I do want to say for housekeeping purposes, with Rock That Doesn't Roll, if anyone is interested in being a part of our Christmas special, we are recording just a couple days after this drops. So if you have a Christmas song that you would like included in that special, please give us a call at our hotline. Leave a message. The number is 629-204-4264. Call, leave a message, and we'll include you in our Christmas special. Okay, without further ado, this will be my interview with John Darnielle for Sound Opinions. We'll start it out with a little conversation between me and my boss, Jim DeRogatis, to set it up. So thanks again for listening. Enjoy.
This show is supported by Odoo. When you buy business software from lots of vendors, the costs add up and it gets complicated and confusing. Odoo solves this. It's a single company that sells a suite of enterprise apps that handles everything from accounting to inventory to sales. Odoo is all connected on a single platform in a simple and affordable way. You can save money without missing out on the features you need. Check out Odoo at odoo.com. That's odoo.com.
Welcome to this bonus episode of Sound Opinions. I'm Jim DeRogatis. Today I am here with Andrew Gill, our longtime, much-loved producer. Hey, Andrew.
Hey, how's it going? Before we go any further, I want to say thank you to one of our Patreon donors, Marjorie Smith from Denver, Colorado. We really appreciate the support we get from our Patreon members. And of course, they get to hear, we try to let them hear everything we do at least a day early, before everyone else. But they're an integral part of this operation. So we couldn't do it without people like Marjorie.
I am so glad you got to do a thank you for once, and it's not just me and Greg, because it is, you and me and Greg and Alex and Max, we all appreciate the support. I can't believe still that we get away with this, given that 99.8% of all podcasts have no support.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. It's enough to ask someone to listen to your podcast,
Yes.
So the fact that people not only listen, but also want to give us their money to help us make it is amazing. So
Carmel has this recurring saying that podcasts are a cry for help.
Yeah. Well, they are a form of folk therapy, maybe might say.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, so Andrew, you got to have another chat. Well, you didn't chat with him the first time. Greg and I did.
But
You got to have a chat with
I did
one of.
chat with him once.
Oh, you did?
Like
Yeah,
3 years ago. One of my favorite musicians, John Darnielle of the Mountain Goats. Yes,
a hero. I was going to say.
Oh
to
yeah,
you.
sure. A hero is another accurate way of saying it. Yeah, it was great. I consider it one of the perks of this job is that when John Darnielle's available for interviews and they make an hour for me in his schedule, then I can make use of it and do something with that. So
well, he's a fascinating guy and so many talents. And so you were talking to him about his new book.
Yeah. I mean, we talked a little bit about the Mountain Goats album that came out at the beginning of November, Through This Fire Across from Peter Balkan.
I love the story
very
behind
simple
that name. Yeah. Peter's the bandmate he lost.
But Peter Hughes is the real person. I don't know who Peter Balkan is, but it's a whole suite of songs all about a crew of 16 people on a fishing boat who most of them die. It's actually one of my surprise, one of my favorite albums of the year. But
he's an amazing artist, and it's always worth catching up with him about whatever he's doing.
Yeah, but the book that's out is of a special. It's especially interesting to Mountain Goats fans because it is a book of Mountain Goats lyrics, 365 songs. Actually, he includes leap year, so it's really 366. But the title says it's a book of days, 365. So anyways, he adds commentary to each of the songs he selected, and it kind of goes through chronologically from like his earliest tapes to not the album that came out this year, but the previous one, Jenny from Thebes. And it's not every song on every one of those. It's the ones he chose to write about. And there are some songs that he never finished that were written around the same time that he includes. So it's a really fascinating document of an artist who's been very somewhat hard to know in a way. There's a huge parasocial relationship between his fans and him. And he means a lot. There's so many tattoos. There's a podcast called I Only Listen to the Mountain Goats. So this is the kind of artist we're talking about,
Well, it remains a point of pride that Greg and I were able to get him to open up when we talked to him because he's apparently reticent about doing a lot of interviews, but we connected, and I know you connect even deeper. So two quick questions. Well, one's a comment, one's a question.
Sure.
Number one of my favorite Brian Eno books is where he comments on his lyrics.
Oh, very good. I didn't know about that book.
We all have our heroes.
Yeah, right.
And number two is, all right, so I'm still in professor mode. My first quarter at Medill is ending. Succinctly, 2-3 sentences. Why do the Mountain Goats mean so much to you in your life?
It's interesting to me because, well, all right, succinctly, you said, all right, let me start over.
Yeah. I always tell my students when, you got to nail a thesis for your review, your emotional reaction, your analysis right up top. And I want you to be able to tell me like you'd tell me in the elevator.
Well, sure.
From the third floor to the first floor. You got to nail, because that requires you to like really, really solidify it in your head.
Yeah, for sure. Well, all right, the title of this book is This Year, which makes perfect sense. It's their most famous song. And it's the song that connects so deeply and viscerally with so many people, especially that first year of COVID. People were just like linked into that, I'm going to make it through this year if it kills me. And there's multiple, there's probably 15 or 20 songs in his catalog that have a line like that just connects with you in a way that just gets at something you're not able to express. So it's the emotional resonance. And reading the book, though, you realize that he's very studied. It's not like he's not just bleeding on the page. He's thinking, and constructing these things as poems, as literature. And he's just extremely skilled at it. And it's kind of like not the myth that people put around artists like that have these emotional connections with their audience. It's someone who's extremely got a really well developed skill set, and uses it effectively.
So many of my favorite artists are always saying it's about the work. You got to put in the work.
Yeah,
and John is one of the hardest working men in rock and roll.
It's hard to. Yeah, I mean, the number of albums he's put out just since the first appearance in 2019 on Sound Opinions, it's 7 or 8 albums or something. It's crazy. Multiple books. It's nuts.
Well, let's dive right into this. Andrew Gill's talking to John Darnielle of the Mountain Goats.
Welcome back to Sound Opinions, John Darnielle.
Thank you very much. Good to be here. I believe the last time I saw you, I was forcing our in van trivia game with Worcester on you all.
Oh yeah. Well, I talked to you once about Devil House over Zoom, but I don't think we were on camera or something. I don't know. There was some kind of computer glitch or something like that.
The thing is, I can't stand. I liked photo reviews when we migrated to video. I just hate it, and I wish. I think the pivot to Zoom has been so bad. So
yeah, I know it sucks, but we have been able to talk to a lot more people than we normally would.
But this whole you're not actually looking at them; you're looking at there's a Baudrillard essay to be written about it. You can't write it. But it's not. I think. Oh, you know what the essay would be? The essay would be this is how we get to generative AI, right? This is a step on the way to accepting things that are unacceptable, right? It itself feels a little more benign, but it's on that path.
But
the same is true of the internet, is the thing. So.
Yeah, it's true. Now that we're looking back on all the internet stuff, we should have seen the signs a while
the
back.
Thing is, it's true, but at the same time, the internet, minus the internet, I have about a tenth of the reach that I have, and there is no book to talk to you about. I'm realistic about that. I know what's real. But.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, the book, I've had it for a month or two, and it's like such a gift to fans.
I
believe.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
So we should say the book is this year, 365 songs, annotated, a book of days. Those are all part of the official title, and then also the new album that you put out 2 weeks ago now, I guess. It was great. It's one of my favorite of the year. So
thank you so much.
And I'm a Mountain Goats fan, but I would be honest enough to say this is higher up in the list of albums.
Thank you.
So.
Well, the first thing you learn is that there's always a clock ticking somewhere. And the next thing you learn is how cold it can get at night. Well, the first thing you learn is how strong you can be if you have to. So strong. And the next thing you learn is how cold it can get at night. The next thing you learn is how cold it can get at night. And the next thing you learn is how cold it can get at night.
Ever since we first started going to studios, there's always been this conflict between my fetish for conveying what something sounded like when it was coming out of me, that's how it sounded in the room at that time, versus making something more crafted, and there's often been a tension, and I think I've exploited that tension to some good use, along the way, but just going for it, just landing on the side of make something instead of do something, you know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
I'm usually fairly hesitant about really committing to that, but this is a made thing, right? It's like a snow globe, right?
Yeah. I mean, the new record, I feel like, in a way, maybe it feels like this is a new era of a Mountain Goats delineation point. It's on Cadmium Dawn.
As you might imagine, I have a bunch of new songs already.
I know. I read that you had already recorded a whole new album in New York or something, right?
Wherever did you read this?
I think the GQ profile, right? There was a. I
can neither confirm nor deny.
Okay. There were a lot of words in that profile, so it was probably very buried. Yeah.
But I will say that my wife went out of town to do a songwriter residency, and so she was gone for 2 weeks in the summer, right? Well, in the summer of 99 or 2000, I guess, my wife went up to hockey camp in Banff for a
Mm-hmm.
week. That's when I wrote most of All Hail West Texas. So, so that's what I have to say
Mm-hmm.
about all
Yeah,
that.
yeah, exactly. I mean, well, you were putting out albums at such a fast clip for the past while, and now it was a year. Well, it's been 2 years since an album came out, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And so, before that, it had been just like every time I turn around, you had recorded at a legendary studio and, had a new conceptual framework. And it just seemed like you were just cranking out these fully formed, this is a whole different thing. And then this is a whole different thing. And now
Yeah,
maybe you took a little longer. You've got your own
it
label
didn't
and
really take that much. I mean, maybe it did. We toured pretty hard. I don't really take a lot of note of that. I mean, I know the book actually took up a lot of my time, right? It's like
I was
I had to
wondering. Yeah.
sort of commit to working on that. So, because it was very overdue, right? This book was contracted in 2020, and
Okay.
I think I probably set like a 2000 or a 2022 delivery
Mhm.
date, but I didn't make that because then the world opened back up, right?
Yeah,
And I
because
was,
that's like when Devil House published was around 2022, right?
I think it was 21. I think
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know,
Yeah.
but but yeah, I mean the thing is like post-pandemic touring pace has been very relentless and
Yeah.
intense, and you can't really writing a book. You could write on the road, I guess. I do some writing on the road, but books. I have a desk right on the other side of this laptop, and like for me, the best place to do a book is to be going to the same desk every day, every day. Not at
Yeah.
the same time necessarily, but returning to the desk, to the habits, the regularity of the thing, and so. But it also took a long time to actually get the form that I wanted.
Yeah. Yeah. I read on the last page of the book, December 31st, that it stated, December, like the early December last year, 2024, and Savannah, Georgia. So it seemed like you
Yeah.
finished it on the road, maybe. Um,
Yeah, where that was the beginning of it. I just wrote I wrote, I had a couple entries to do, and at that point, I'd been moving at a clip while I'd been home for so long,
uh-huh.
that at the beginning of a tour, you can often keep up your home work habits, right? A tour
Right.
eventually asserts its own primacy in your life, and that can be it's very, the beginning of tour is sort of like Monday at work, except that you are able to sort of the difference is like generally most people on Monday they're like they had a weekend, they wish they could have another day of the weekend. Well, I'm working at home, I'm going from one workplace to the other. I can bring my home workplace onto the bus for a day or two, but eventually the bus
Yeah.
asserts that it's the
Yeah.
bus and you're here, right? And so but yeah, that was like I feel like the second or third day of tour, and I was like, you have a chance to write the last few entries here before this tour takes over, and that would be a good idea. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah. So I was curious, did you start with like January 1st and then just sort of go through? Because it is kind of chronological the way the book goes through songs.
so like I say, it took a long time to find its form. That Book of Days idea I didn't get until a couple years ago, right?
Mm.
And like I say, we got the this was contracted in 2020, right?
Hmm.
And at first, I just started writing a bunch of random entries, and I wrote, I was very. The thing is, I'm always keen to talk about the first tape, right? Because
Uh-huh.
so, of all my stuff, it's the one that most sounds like it's from a different person in a different world.
Mm.
It's, it would be the hardest sell of anything I've done if you were trying to convince somebody to listen to the Mountain Goats. First tape is you're not going to win anybody. The only people going to win. It's weird, it's very
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
And I like that about it. But also, as I say in the book, like I can hear where I'm at in my life. Then it's better than a photograph. It's like
Right.
it's a contextual indication of where my head was at.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, but I didn't get the sequential idea. I really had no idea what I was going to do. But also, it was going to be a collected and complete lyrics,
Mm.
and it was really only after I'd been working for a couple of years I went, that's it. That's a. I don't know if you've seen this. One second.
Yeah.
So this is a book that's sort of making big waves in the literary fiction thing, and this is the
Oh,
galley
okay.
for it. Have you heard about this?
No, I haven't heard about it. Yeah.
It's called Schadenfreude.
Okay.
It's uh, it's by Michael Lentz, and it's
Oh,
this
wow.
big. right?
Wow.
And it
And it
comes
has
in
a
it.
wooden case that it comes in. Yeah.
Well, no, it doesn't. Only like 10 or 20 of the gallons.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm a big
Yes.
supporter of literature translation, so I got one.
Nice.
And it is 991 pages long.
Yeah.
Well, A Mountain Goat's collected with commentary would have been considerably longer than that.
Right. Yeah. Oh, because you include songs that weren't actually set to music, and there's a lot. I mean, there's so much. How would you cut off? There's like lyrics that were not quite finished, or
there's some stuff in progress, stuff that I was interested in as I was digging around to see what I really wanted to actually comment on. Because I didn't. To me, if you're listening to the albums, I find the idea of standing by your old work a weird concept, but any of the given albums, they're still a good listen all the way through. But there's plenty of the lyrics that I think that weren't ever intended to be seen on the page, weren't conceived of that way, don't really exist outside the context. Like whichever the standard Bitter Love song is on Sopilote Machine, that doesn't need to be on the page. It's fun in the song, right? But that's the only place it really lives.
And so you can skip some of those if you want, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But if you're going to say something about them, pick the ones that you feel you have something to say about,
Yeah,
and so yeah, and that as it turned out was a plenty big book. I went back and forth with Sean McDonald, my editor, who had gotten fairly attached to it. No, all of them, because then I was going to have the 365 plus an appendix with the rest.
Yeah, it's
but it would have been
thick,
so massive, it's hefty. I mean, it's like, there's some people who would have been amused by the idea, and plenty of other people were like, well, I'm interested, but I'm not $50 tome interested.
Right. There would have been a certain subset of internet folks who would order that immediately, and
you would have missed one or two anyway. There would have been no way.
Right.
Would have been no way for somebody to not go, aha.
And 6 months later, you'd have 6 months later, you'd have 2 new albums recorded.
Well, that's the thing, is by the time this comes out, this ends with Jenny from Thebes, and Peter Balkan comes out the same month of it.
Yeah. And I felt like well, first of all, I'll say, like, I started out reading the book the day I got it. I turned to the date that it was that day.
Oh, interesting. A lot of people turn their birthdays.
Yeah. Well, I was like, I grew up evangelical, and so I had devotionals as a kid, so I was used to like the daily office kind of thing, like open to that day, read the thoughts.
Yeah, no, you already have the Book of Days idea in your
exactly right. Like, so I don't know. Did you ever think about how people might utilize the book? Like, will they just read from the front, or choose days, or is any of the above?
So I thought, I try not to think too much about a reader or a listener when I'm writing. I think that way lies peril. But at the same time, I did think in terms of the book. It's like, well, yeah, I liked that. The first time somebody gave me a book by Rumi, the poet, presented it as a sort of an augury sort of thing. You open it up, the book, and it was the Coleman Barks translation. You open up the book, and whichever one you land on will be telling you something about your current situation. I mean, this is actually a fun way. This is a fun thing to do with books sometimes, especially with books of poetry. Is like, open it up, see if the poem has something to say to you, right? I liked that idea, but I also did like the idea that it's instantly personalizable. Like any meaningful dates to you, you can see how some accident or chance has caused a moment of communication or not, But yeah, so I thought some about that. I liked the idea that if I kept it roughly from the beginning of me doing the Mountain Goats to where we're at now, that you'd get some sense of growth and progress, and that I'd be able to look at that. And I found that was the most interesting thing to me.
Yeah. And once I realized it was chronological, then I went back to January 1st and started reading some of that. And you really get this sense of like literary analysis, which is like a really interesting thing for a writer to do of their own work. And in a slightly different form, because you talk a lot about moving from poetry to music. So,
I hope I didn't talk about that too much. I was very aware of talking about that. I was like, well, I don't want. I mean, this is a very interesting phenomenon for me, but like it's one reason I also dwell a little on how it's not a memoir. Is like one reason I don't want to write a memoir is that what's interesting to me, right? This is why I don't do confessional folk. Also, is I don't want to be sort of forcing what's interesting to me about myself on others. It's like I don't
Mm-hmm.
mind like forcing my obsessions. Like if you're listening to me, well, here's the stuff that is interesting to me, but I don't want to be self-indulgent,
Yeah,
and
yeah. I
this is
didn't.
me. It's like whatever works for other people's fine, but
Yeah, I didn't
but
take it to be
so,
self-indulgent that way. But
yeah. But that to me is interesting. I look at these early ones and I can smell. It's like, oh, this guy thinks he's going to write poetry. It's like this is the mountain goats are a sideline for him. He's experimenting with song. And so
yeah, and then you write about the open mic night you went to
yeah,
at your college, and one thing I was realizing looking back over some of the book and was that you do spend a lot of time talking about the writing of it and the literary sort of analysis. There's not a ton of time spent talking about your singing, like the way you delivered the songs, at least early on, and
no, the intensity of the presentation back then.
yeah, which is the thing that like people loved like immediately when
Oh,
like deep.
not too many back
Well,
then.
the deep fans, they were the ones who were like, now this guy is feeling it deeply, and that's what I want to connect with that, So, but you've developed like your vocal techniques and your performing techniques have like grown so much
Yeah.
over the decades, and I didn't see like a lot of thinking about that or writing about
No,
that
this
in
book
the
isn't
book.
about me as a
Yeah.
performer. This is the thing. Again, it's not. This is not a memoir. I'm not reflecting on my feelings as I go along much. There's those are in there because it's writing that comes from me, so it engages with that part of myself. But it's. I mean, I really don't. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I think that's just not the part that I look at very hard. Uh,
Which I just
it's too
found
gauche to me
interesting
in a
as
way
a
for me to be the guy commenting on that.
right. I guess I wondered, I was like, when you're playing these songs, you've written these words and thought about them so much. Now I now know from reading the book, you've carefully considered all the words, almost as poetry, maybe not.
Yeah, for a while. Yeah.
Yeah. And, but then when you perform them, it's very intense. And I,
Well, the thing is that intensity was also a performance, and that was one thing that was kind of weird at the time to think.
mm,
Is that people think that if your performance is persuasive, then it must not be a performance, right? And that's a
mhm.
very interesting, from a professorial or whatever, perspective that people think if you've done your job as a performer to persuade them of the reality of your performance, then it can't actually be a performance, right?
Mm.
And that's fascinating, right? It's like,
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's fascinating, but it also is kind of weird because then it leads to, I don't think, that there's ever been really a healthy way of construing the thing that goes on between a performer and the audience,
Yeah.
but but yeah, there's this sort of this notion that you've gotten something better than artifice if you actually access the person, right? And I don't think that's true at all. I don't
Mhm.
like when I'm watching a performer, I do not care about the person behind the performance. But I, of course, I love that dynamic of feeling like that's what you're getting, but I understand it as performance, as craft, as art.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't think, I'm not looking for the guy who's really letting his heart
yeah.
come out. Because I'm not in a relationship with that guy. It's like
Right, right, right.
I'm in the audience. That's that relationship. I'm looking to have it's very similar to the way that as a child, at some point that it's actually your parents who put the Easter eggs out in the yard. You know this,
Mhm,
right?
mhm,
But for a year or two, you buy into it anyway, right?
mhm,
For a year or two,
mhm.
you go, no, I'm not going to be like that dickhead at school who's going, that's just your parents, right? He's
Yeah, yeah,
like I sucks, right? So, uh, well, during that year, you're understanding what performance is. We're sharing a fiction.
mhm,
It feels amazing to do, right?
mhm.
What's going on in performance, I think. And it's beautiful as it's happening, but it has weird theoretical consequences when people start to make aesthetic generalities about it.
Mhm.
If you love these kinds of thoughts, you're going to love my book.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, it's and one thing you make clear very early on is that the a song exists in the air as it is being sung
That's right.
and performed and heard by an audience. So On the page, it's a different thing, but here we are. It's a book. We have to read
No,
it on
that's right. The
page.
book is doing something different. And I started putting lyrics in sleeves. The first one I ever did was when they did a Japanese edition of Get Lonely, and they said, we need lyrics for there to be a Japanese edition. That's how we do records. And I was so excited that there was going to be Japanese pressing that I sent them. But I'd been steadfastly resisting that up until 2007. I didn't want lyrics, and I had younger men have very strong, like, no, my records. So, and people who value consistency are, of course, like, well, man, you had a thing going, they stopped. I don't care too much about consistency like that. But,
Yeah.
Or I would have a logo, but
I was struck by how you were talking about imagining a scene, especially early on. You would like set yourself in a scene and you describe
Right.
things in the scene. And then
Yes.
that would be the only window into that scene. And it's an entire world that
Objects,
exists that you only see that little glimpse of. And it continues going on somewhere in the imagination, but we only hear the little part that's in the song. And then you just leave it forever and it's never touched again.
Yeah.
I can't remember
I mean,
which.
that's a poetic technique, right? That if you write about the jar in Tennessee, right? I think it's Stevens, right? Or William Carlos Williams. I can't quite place it. Who's the jar in Tennessee? Do you know?
I do not know. Yeah, that's
Let's
another
look it
thing
up.
I realized reading this is that you've read a lot more books than me. So.
Well, here, let's do the anecdote of the jar. Maybe you'll have to clear it for permissions, like I did with some of the poems in the book. It's Wallace Stevens. Anecdote of the jar. I placed a jar in Tennessee, and round it was upon a hill. It made the slovenly wilderness surround that hill. The wilderness rose up to it and sprawled around, no longer wild. The jar was round upon the ground and tall, and of a port in air. It took dominion everywhere. The jar was gray and bare. It did not give of bird or bush, like nothing else in Tennessee. That's the sort of thing I was obsessing over when I was doing early Mountain Goat stuff. It's like, I'm not qualified, I don't think anymore, if I ever was, to subject that poem to a rigorous analysis. But it seems like it's pointing out that when I talk about a jar in Tennessee, I give something a centrality and I posit a sort of narrative. I can control it, and I can control Tennessee when I do so, right? In your imagination, right? I can really I can do stuff just with words, right? If I'm judicious with my images and rhythms, right? I can do that, and that's something that I was thinking about a lot, especially when I was 21-ish, 22, about how does an image work? How many do you want? A lot, or do you want one? All these kinds of ways of thinking when you're just idly thinking of stuff,
Yeah. Well, I don't know if most songwriters are thinking in that deep of a way about.
Well,
what they're
I don't
writing.
know. I mean, everybody has their own practice, right? I
Yeah.
don't think mine is better. It's just that's what I was interested in, because I love literature. I mean, I've loved literature since I was a child, and I don't, I think the term literature sort of gets this. People have a notion that I don't know, that there's something upper crusty about literature, but I don't. I think any piece of writing can be literature, and literature is accessible to all, and all readers anyway. And then again, you can start asking what really is reading. Aren't you reading when you watch a movie? Well, yes, you are. So that's, you give a reading to it. It may be fairly, passive reading. I think a lot of people with visual media receive it kind of passively, but you don't have to. And so this is the stuff I will blather on about all day. This is where I live in my head, So.
Yeah. Well, I noticed on the entry for March 2nd, you mentioned that in 1995 you imagined an alternate world where one of your grad school applications had been accepted.
And I imagine this world all the time.
And you had gone to grad school and had only recorded songs on Casio keyboards and had not, gathered the audience you have now. And you think back fondly on this particular song.
Which song? Which is March 2nd? Which one? I don't have the book.
I can't remember. Let me look it up. I just wrote down a few key dates. It's Pure Money.
Oh yeah. No, that's from Nine Black Poppies, right?
Yeah.
I saw the sky reflected on the ocean.
Yeah, no, I like to think about that idea, except that I also know, like, I can't. It's difficult for me to imagine. I think that's true for everybody once you reach a certain stage in life. Like, it becomes very difficult to really vividly imagine what your life might have looked like. Otherwise, everything sort of feels inevitable at some point,
Mhm.
which is a falsehood, right? Like, nothing about your present condition was inevitable. Like, it's a result of probably chance and luck and status and privilege and lots of things. Uh, but uh, but yeah, I do like to think about that. Like, what if I had stopped in 1996?
Yeah.
Like, what does my stuff look like in the rear view then?
Yeah.
And probably there would be people writing to me at my department saying, hey, we were thinking about reissuing this, and I would probably say, that was a long time ago. But I like to imagine that version of me. That's an interesting version to imagine.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I was curious. I mean, after reading this book, you're clearly like doing high level literary analysis. Have you ever been approached by a university to get like an honorary degree or anything of that sort? Have you ever thought about like,
Oh man, I
oh,
really
maybe I
want to give a
will?
funny answer to this. No, I haven't. Um,
I mean,
but I
even
want to claim that I send out multiple asks for them every year, get rebuffed, and
well,
like
you can't
I've
ask for
learned that
them,
there's an
but
internal document among the Ivy League saying under no circumstances is this guy to be given an honorary degree. He's not one of us. He was rejected by Notre Dame. He was rejected by UNH. He was rejected by Northwestern. He was rejected by SUNY Buffalo, and by God, we're not accepting him now.
I
I
think
like this idea.
I can't remember for sure, but I think that so Jim DeRogatis, one of our Sound Opinions hosts,
Yeah,
wrote the biography of Lester Bangs, and he has gone out to the El Cajon College. I think
right.
Lester attended college. He definitely went to high school out there, but I think there's a college there that has Lester's papers and may have
Yeah.
given him a posthumous degree or something like that.
The
So
thing is, I love the idea. The honor would be sweet, but the degree I want is the one that I actually have to spend 12 years getting, right? And I don't
yes,
have
right,
that. It's like
right.
I have to be realistic. But that's what, a degree like that is a great honor. It'd be a great honor to receive. But I wouldn't actually deserve it, is the thing. It's like my work may be good, but does it evidence that I have undertaken the rigor of the PhD? No, it does not, right?
I don't
Rigor
know.
is a
I don't know. I think
order.
maybe a case could be made. I don't know if we could
Oh
get
man, do you
Mountain
know what the
Goats
big?
band.
No, 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 because this is the thing that my professors who
you
liked me were
you
telling
turn
me.
this in and have to defend it, and that's your thesis right there.
Yeah, but the thing is like maybe I like that idea, but but the thing is that's interesting about this is like I had professors who really wanted me to go to grad school, right? They were on my
Hmm.
side, but they would tell me again and again, you really want to go, and I think you're going to hate it, right? Because as an undergrad, your creative work is celebrated, right? If you do an MFA, you also can have be a place where like your creativity, if you have a strong drive and so forth, can be celebrated. The PhD is about you proving that you can suborn yourself to somebody else's idea, absorb it entirely, maybe add a little bit that is from you, right? Uh, and uh, and then do that, and that's your PhD. Your PhD is not you demonstrating that you are good and talented, right? Your PhD
Right.
is something very different from what us talented, gifted kids are used to wanting to do. We want to
Yeah.
be praised. You don't go to the PhD program and get your praise, right? And so
Right. Right.
that's what I liked about the idea is like it would, I think I fetishize it the way that people might fetishize military school. It's like, yeah, they'll beat the special out of me.
Yeah. I never went to grad school. I went straight into journalism and whatnot. But last year I won an award from the American Academy of Religion for a podcast I did.
Wow.
So I
Congratulations.
went to their conference, which is, it was a year ago. So it's happening this weekend in Boston. But I don't know if you've heard of that conference, but it's 19,000 theologians, all,
Man,
all descending on the place where they do Comic-Con in San Diego last year. So
amazing.
it was just,
Now you got to feel like, Christianity Today gave me a year-end pick for Life of the World to Come, and I was so overwhelmed with pleasure about that.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, it's just wild. But ever since then, I've just been like, should I get a PhD? Everyone there, 19,000 people had PhDs. I don't know. I feel like maybe I should, but.
The thing is, I think about it so much because I do think going through it, like it's one of those, it's like a vision quest or something. It's like on the other side of it, people who haven't done it aren't in the same world, you know. I mean, I think and I think that's part of its goal is to
Yeah.
to say, oh yeah, you're going to be shepherded into this other world. So
Yeah. Hey, Rock That Doesn't Roll listeners, we just want to give you an update on our Patreon support. We have been very heartened to see new people signing up almost every week to help bring this podcast to you, and we could not appreciate it more.
Yeah, so for those of you who may or may not know, this is a work of love. This is a project that comes from the heart, and so we rely on funds from dedicated listeners like you all. Thank you so much to the people who've already decided to give. It's actually, I don't know, it warms my heart. I don't know how you feel about it. Andrew, you were raised Methodist. Is your heart strangely warmed by?
Yeah, just call me John Wesley over here. Yeah. No, it is the thing that, you know, is required to make the show. You know, we are still not really paying ourselves a fair wage, but we are offsetting some of the lost potential earning time that we put into this podcast.
Yeah.
So if you do want the show to continue existing, we do need listeners to support us. And, you know, if that's not financially, you can tell people about us. You could share us on social media, do all other things. But we would love this to be something we can dedicate a lot of time to. But, you know, we have to provide for our families, and we do not each have trust funds. I don't have a trust fund. You don't have a trust fund, do you, Leah?
No,
just checking. Yeah,
sad to say. Yeah.
So, yeah, we appreciate all the support.
Thank you so much, everyone.
So, you know, we started talking about the scenes that you would imagine and write just one little snippet of and leave forever early on. But as you wrote novels, you know, you talked about how you taught yourself to write a novel by doing the Tallahassee album in a way, looking back on it.
Beginning anyway, it's the beginning of
learning. Yeah.
Novel, yeah.
And now you have multiple novels, and the past two albums have been sort of musicals in a way, like exploring those themes and drawing them out. Is that something you're trying to do consciously to sort of like inhabit these worlds and put more skin on them, or?
I mean, I almost never describe the way I make an album as beginning from a conscious urge, because it usually starts just with me flailing around doing stuff that seems interesting to me and then deciding what thread to follow. That's almost always the case. I mean, that's part of what makes making an album still interesting and fun for me, is I don't sit, but it's true with novels too, actually, that I'll just start typing up some stuff and then I go, that's kind of interesting. And then I'll make an outline having that as the beginning. But I think albums and books are not one of people's favorite questions when I write a book is, how is writing a book different from writing an album? And it's like they don't compare. It's like asking how is being a dishwasher different from being a nurse? Well, I've done both, and they're different jobs. So you do the same thing, show up at the same time of day and work, and with your hands sometimes, you know. But they're so different. I mean, when you're writing a novel, you know, I imagine actually that writing a novel is closer to being in a graduate program, because you go into this imaginary world that is private, right? You could share it with somebody. If you had somebody who wanted to walk you through it, who you were sharing your work with every day, which I cannot think of anything more nightmarish. When people want to share their work as they go, I'm like, what do you? No, from the air. Yeah. It's like it's a precious mountain flower, and it can't be exposed to other people or they will pollute it. It's with their ideas and comments and whatever. It's like, but when you're doing that, is you are in this rarefied world of idea and private vision, right? Music isn't like that. Music takes audible form as you go, right? And that form becomes part of it pretty quickly, right? The melody, you land on a good melody, that's going to be in the song. Well, now it's already there. Whereas a book changes a million times. But in terms of Tallahassee, when I say I was teaching myself to write a novel, also I had been living with those characters at that point for 10 years, right? And that's an important part of a novel also, is that like understanding that if you take 6 months, a year, 2 years not working on the novel, but it's in a file, you did some stuff, you had to put it aside. Every once in a while, you go visit those people in your head. That's part of it. And Tallahassee was sort of like understanding that, yeah, you had these people who you wrote a bunch of songs about, then they festered for a while, and then you wake them up and tell a whole story about them. Well, now they have skin on their bones. And novel writing works like that to some extent.
Yeah. Did I know that I'm sure lots of people are asking you about Lin-Manuel Miranda's involvement with the new album.
Yes.
And I wonder, as one of the best to do it as far as writing musicals goes, did you talk about like what's the third, is that a third thing between writing music, writing novels, writing a musical?
Well, I mean,
did you talk about any of these? Right. You haven't, but
I've written, what would be the score to a musical that I'm not sure people would go see. 3 characters and they're all going to die.
Well, I mean, a lot of people are going to see Waiting for Godot even now. So
that is true, but it has celebrities in it.
Yeah, true.
I mean, I'm sure that's dismissive. Winter's in it, right? Isn't it? Winter
Alex and Reeves. Yeah.
I mean, Alex Winter has really proven himself to be a guy to be a good thinker.
Yeah. We had him on talking about his Zappa doc.
These are smart guys, and so they, who happen to find themselves in the Hollywood engine. So I don't mean to be dismissive of them.
But a lot of people know them. Yeah.
This is the thing, is like, I think, I'm not in the world of non-Broadway New York theater, but I bet you there's some badass actors working in New York right now who, if they launched Godot, would struggle to draw crowds.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. There always are. Yeah.
And I also want to give a pitch for it's no better conversation than this one, for my earnest plea to be heard. This is a long story. Do you have a minute?
You sure? Yeah.
Okay.
Of course.
Check it out. When we lived in Colo, Iowa, right, the local cable company was a small, very small business, right? And cable TV was still in what I guess you'd call its middle period. I don't know, but it was like, it wasn't the sort of faceless, everybody is, they're all the big corporations swallowed up the local cable companies, but local cable companies did exist, right? And there was some pathway to these local, small, central Iowa places to go, okay, well, you have access to this programming, here's what it's going to cost you, and so forth. And the Colo company, you could literally, and I had this happen, you could call them up and say, hey, MTV's got a new channel called M2, is there any way you could add it? And they would say, oh yeah, a thing came through yesterday about that. You're interested? Yeah, okay, probably. Right. And then a week later, you would have M2. Right?
Wow.
And we did in fact have M2 in Colo, right? It was crazy. And we had IFC, right? For free, right? Like for cable, regular cable. And IFC showed, I saw Pi a bunch of times. I forget what else they were showing, but one thing they showed that cable companies used to do this sort of thing. If they had 20 minutes to kill, they'd show a short subject that somebody had submitted.
Oh, yeah.
Alan, which is the famous Arkin from the 70s? Is that Adam Arkin or Alan Arkin?
Oh, Alan Arkin?
Alan
Arkin, yeah.
It's Alan, right? His son Adam was making movies, right? Was trying his thing out. And he made a short film called Samuel Beckett Will Be Here Soon, about a couple of New York actors who get an offer to go do Godot in Tallahassee. In the summer, right? In northern Florida.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Not in the romanticized Tallahassee of the mountain goats, but in Tallahassee.
Yeah,
right?
I've spent a lot of time in Tallahassee myself. Yeah.
So it is one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. I bought the DVD that they were offering from a website at one point, but it has disappeared. You can see the trailer if you dig around.
Oh,
Right?
God.
The trailer does have my favorite moment where Pozo the clown during the intermission, who they've talked into coming down to Tallahassee, right, to do this. And there's no one. Like, there's literally two people in the crowd. Nobody shows up, right? And he says, "I gave up New York for this." My favorite things of all time. What were we talking about?
It's like Waiting for Guffman, proto Waiting for Guffman, like
I haven't seen Waiting for Guffman.
Oh my God. Yeah. I'm going to show my 11-year-old Waiting for Guffman in a couple weeks. It's a Christopher Guest mockumentary from like 1998 or 99.
Yeah, I remember hearing about it.
Yeah. It's a musical in a small town, and they're waiting for a theater agent named Guffman to show up, and he never shows. But the whole town does have, there's a lot of good songs, and it's very funny. But
right, it's got songs. I've heard that. Yeah. But yeah, so my earnest plea is, this gets to Adam Arkin, you have to put the whole movie up.
Please do.
On YouTube or something. I know you were young when you made it, and you probably have all kinds of different opinions about it, but you got to put it up, please.
Well, there it is. We'll try to tag him on Instagram. I don't know if he's got an Instagram or not, but we'll look for it. So. But I was wondering though, did you and Lynn ever exchange notes about that? Like writing?
Well, we're friends, and so we've been friends for a while now, for 5-10 years. I don't know.
But do you have the literary analysis type conversations, or are you just friends?
So we share work, but it's not. We don't. More in a theatrical way, that it's like you say, just as friends would share work. We say, "Hey, check it out." I did something this morning. I think it's good. I would like to share it with somebody, but not put it out there in the world. And then the other person says, "Whoa, nice work," or that's about it. It's like, it's the way that, as far as I know, I do have one friend actually who I share work with, from whom I solicit critical opinions, right? But that's not what we do. We say, "Check this out." It's cool, right? Nice. You wait until something's ready to share. It's like, I think there's a good analogy actually. It's like friends sharing baseball cards, right? Mm-hmm. Because there's a sense when you make something, for me, and I think for a lot of artists, that I put my talent in that and stuff, but I can only claim partial credit, at all times. It's a combination of circumstance and having, the miracle of enough time to do it, and so forth, and the right weather and the right state of mind and whatever, and things conspire on a given day with what you brought to it, which is your skill set and your practice, right? Your training, right? And when that happens, something magic happens, but it also feels like you sort of just dug up a cool rock, and you want to say, check this one out. This came out pretty good, right? I will boast if I have a couple that I really like, but it's less like boasting than going, "Isn't this amazing that this can happen?" It's like it's sharing that remarkable experience of having excavated something. So that's what we do.
Yeah. So the entries. This is telling me that some of the literary analysis that we read in this year, is more what you're thinking, not what you're talking about with your friends, right?
Yeah. No,
this is the inside of your head.
Rare no, we don't. Yeah, well, it actually probably made the book easier to write, that I never do this that much.
Yeah.
Dude, it's like, I wouldn't. How tiresome would it be to show up to practice with me and go, "All right, fellas, let me break this one down for you."
Well, we're gonna have a band meeting, and I'm gonna talk about
the one thing I do, and I can't think of any specific things, but at least once per album, I'll go, guys, no one's gonna point out that this is really good, that these 4 lines are extremely good, and that I do something very good and clever here. No one's going to notice, right? Because I'm not raising my voice. So I got to say, these are good. I was good when I did this. And they'll go, "Good job, John."
Nice. Well, one thing you mentioned in the entry for the song this year is that you sent it to Peter Hughes, the lyrics, and you were like, "Well, the chorus needs a rhyme, and I'm going to change it." He was like, "I would recommend you not change that."
This is one of my favorite stories, because it was, when you are one, when you're me, and I think generally speaking, if you're the person in the driver's seat of something like this, the boss. I mean, I don't consider myself a boss in any sense at all, but I mean, yeah, in any kind of relationship, if you're trying to get a result from somebody that that you're intimate and close with, if you're smart, you ask yourself, what's a good way to get that result? Instead of just, I mean, if you're me, I'm not smart and I just say whatever's in my mind, but I sent him that and he said, hey man, you can do whatever you want to do, but to me, this one feels kind of done. And I totally knew him well enough to know that he was understating the case, that he was like, he wanted to say, do not change this, right? But he knew that if he said that, I might dig in my heels. I might go, no, I'm telling you, it's not done yet. I might get into a confrontational aspect, and it was very, and he might also have been thinking, I don't know, maybe he finds something better. Maybe, and it's like when you're working with a songwriter, it's another thing. It's like, maybe let him follow his bliss. Maybe maybe this is only the beginning, but he was right. It's like the song was done. And so, and so it's a moment I'm super grateful for.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and on the new album, Matt Douglas produced it, right? Was that, and that's kind of a new thing for the recent string of albums, right? To have a band member and the only producer role.
The first in-house producer since me.
Yeah. So, I mean, what was the process like there? Was it,
I had this, I was in the middle of writing the songs. We were starting to calendar the session to figure out where to record it. And we started, that's when one thing a manager does is reminds you that there's more to it than just we're going to show up at the studio, right? So, it's okay. So who are we thinking you work with? And we had a number of names, and we had some people we were sort of involved with that, timing constraints didn't make it work out. And we started going through a basket of names. And Matt said, outside of the CC, he said, hey, if you don't like this idea, don't just ignore this. But like, I'd like to throw my hat in the ring. I've done I've done a ton of stuff at Matt's studio. I've done one of my audiobooks there, I think, and music for 2 books there. I've done a bunch of stuff at Matt's. He's got a studio in his backyard. So, so he said he wanted to throw his hat in the ring. That was the term he used. And I, then we had a band conversation about it, and we liked the idea. It really felt, as we're exploring this space of us being a trio together, it felt like a fun move to keep it in house. Called Matthew Barnhart to engineer. I've known Barnhart since 2001 when he came out, 2002, I guess, with the Baptist Generals on the Tallahassee tour. And so it was Matt had an idea, and I liked that because because it's in this world of musicals. There's a lot of conversation between musicals and jazz, right? A lot. I mean, John Coltrane, my favorite things, but that's not it. There's all the big musical numbers of the 40s and 50s get jazz treatments, right? And Louis Armstrong, Hello Dolly, all this stuff, and Matt is strong in jazz. And so I knew, even though he's not a musicals guy by nature, he gets how they work. And so and then he, wrote the overture under my direction. I said, here's the idea. And he said, you sure? I said, no, yeah. Take all the major melodic motifs and stitch them together into a piece. Said, how long should it be? I said, 10 minutes. He said, no, we'll see what happens. But I mean, I think the overtures were the best things we've ever done.
Yeah. It's great.
Could not have been done if Matt were not the producer. I don't think that would have happened with somebody else on board.
Someone else would have talked you out of it, or
I just think the idea would have withered. The idea would have just slithered off,
Right. So in a way, was Matt approaching you in the way that Peter Hughes did? Knowing how you might react.
No, I don't think so. I think he's humble. I just think he's, and I think it also, when you already have a role inside a band, I think to offer to step outside of that role, I think feels a little presumptuous, or could, you don't want to feel that way. I mean, you understand, Matt, turn off the radio if you're listening to this. Matt Douglas is like a perfect human being. He's like the greatest person. And
He
so,
appears to be a mensch from all I can
so I
see,
know
yeah.
that he doesn't want to come off as like trying to seize extra anything for himself. He's like, and so I think that played into him being sort of hesitant about, but I mean, the job he did is exemplary. He's so good. So.
Yeah. Now, I also have to ask you about, I saw, since we're talking about musicals, I've seen that there's possibly Joseph Fink and Aaron McEwen might be working on something with Mountain Goat songs, or
yeah, but that's a with my blessing thing.
Yes, right. Okay.
I'm not. They asked if they could write something using ideas and songs of mine, and I said, sure, go ahead.
Yeah.
But I don't really know much more about it.
Okay. Yeah, it's I was thinking like, oh yeah, this seems like a similar relationship as like Sufjan had to Illinois. It was just like,
I don't know what that relationship was.
Well, I think he just knew I think Joseph Cunningham or whoever it was that made the Illinois stage show was just kind of someone who had begged, said, Sufjan, can I please use your songs? And finally he said,
so I'm friends with both of them, right?
Do what you will. Yeah.
Joseph ran a treatment past me early on. I have to assume it's gone a bunch of different ways since then. But yeah, it's I'm hearing good things about it.
Cool. Yeah, great. And so they're working on it and working all the different possible, like maybe it will become a stage show at some point.
Here's the thing. Last I heard, I think it's doing a reading or something like that. But as you know, I'm doing a lot of things at once.
Yes.
So it's not something I'm keeping close tabs on. It's like,
and it's almost firewalled too, even, right?
What comes out, but I'm like, you won't be able to ask me to even put what's going on with that. It's like, no, that's one reason why I'm not. It's like, my plate is full, right? It's
yes. But they have your blessing and they're
sure.
all good.
Yeah, no, they're friends. I've toured with Aaron, been friends with Joseph for a while, and I know that Aaron's been involved in some big stuff in that realm. So
yeah. All right. Well, hopefully we can see it on stage at some point soon. And so you don't want to tell us anything else about what might be coming next as an album that may or may not have been recorded in New York.
I don't know anything about it. I just don't have any details
Well, the book is this year, 365 songs, annotated, a book of days. And I think people are going to love it. I've already seen some of the Mountain Goats fans getting their copies in the mail.
I think it came out so nice is the thing. And it's been, people have been posting their pictures, and it really, it's important to me to make stuff that people, when they get it, they're glad they have it. It's like, cause I'm sort of an object fetishist and there's that great, I grew up on a lot of mail order stuff. It's like when you get something in the mail and it satisfies or exceeds your expectations for it, that's such a feeling,
Yeah.
And this book, I think it really, when it landed, when my copy came, I just love it. I didn't know what they were doing with the spine there, and it's the greatest.
Yeah, it looks great.
Cool. The end papers look really cool. The John Kia, the artist who did the illustrations. I'm quite happy with it.
And I know
you got to be jealous
of the wooden box.
Shot through a box. There's only 20 of these in the world, I think. But it's a wooden box. Now that's a level up there.
Now, if a Mountain Goats fan has an Etsy store and they want to make boxes to sell to people to put their this year's into, I'm sure you'd be fine with that, right?
I personally, you would have to talk.
Maybe the publisher would have to. Yeah.
This is one funny way that people think about things. They think, "Hey, John, man, I'm making a movie. Can I use your song in the movie?" There's a whole process. For that.
There's 7 other people that have to.
Because I'm the face. It's like there's a whole thing with that. But people really do. When you're the lead singer and stuff, they have this vision of you of like being like the not the Wizard of Oz, because he's not actually in control of stuff, but like of being like a Jehovah God, a very Calvinist God who's micromanaging aspect of everything. He's like, no, I jump up and down and I bang on the keyboard. Everything else you want to talk to people about, you got to talk to somebody else.
Well, it's a great book, so congratulations.
You're too kind. Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Let's see. I guess since we have you, do you have a song that you would want to add to the Desert Island Jukebox that we do? Is there a song you've listened to this week or today that you are really into by someone else?
Let me see. Let me look at what I have listened to recently.
We often spring this question on people at the end of interviews.
Yeah, but most of them are probably not still using Last FM, where I absolutely am.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
oh, it's the best. It's like and I think people have called it like abandonware or something because it's just not. But it is awesome. And let's see here. What have I got? I mean, I've been listening to Skinny Puppy a lot this week.
Nice.
It is nice. Oh yeah, that. Something. I went to the actual Last FM site, and things are looking a little.
Unkempt.
Oh no! Oh, there we go. Okay, good. Let's see here. My most played artist this week is Steve Moore. I don't know if you know his stuff. He does synth music. He's in Zombie, right?
Okay.
Oh, that new music is really good. But oh, you know what you should listen to is Blue Monk.
Blue Monk. Okay.
Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers. Blue
Nice.
Monk. I've listened to a lot of jazz, and I actually listened to a bunch of different versions of Blue Monk this week. There's one thing I like to do is pull up a jazz tune and listen to as many renditions of it as I can stand. Blue Monk is simpler than a lot of the ones that people obsess over, that like Perdido or whatever. But it's such a great groove. And Art Blakey, hard drumming, bop drummer, it's legendary. It's a great lineup. Blue Monk all day.
All right. Blue Monk. Very good. Have you listened in the car or just sitting at home, or what's the
I listen to Blue Monk in the
circumstances?
kitchen while cooking, and a fair bit in the car also.
While
yeah.
cooking. All right. Very good. Does it mingle with the dinner forks and knives like Brian Eno?
It's pretty hard to beat sweet bop era stuff while you're cooking. It's like it gives you a float around the kitchen sort of vibe. It's very hard to beat. But I mean, I would say that because I've been on a big jazz kick for the last 3 years or so. I'd deep dive on Mingus and on U.B. Blake and Earl Father Hines. I got really into this one Bill Evans tune that people write about, and it's like I like to do deep digs on jazz these days.
Nice.
Schofield, John Schofield, right? I'm kind of obsessed with his style.
Nice. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, thanks again for coming on Sound Opinions.
My pleasure. I have 5 minutes till I talk to People Magazine.
Oh my goodness.
All right, fantastic interview, Andrew. It's you are able to go with him to places I don't think a lot of interviews go.
And it's fun because I don't have a time limit on this one, so I don't have to cut it down. So.
Well, the holidays are coming up, and people are, decorating the tree and getting ready to cook ahead and all this. Well, you let this run, and they're going to be on the road.
Yeah.
So let this one roll, and
yeah, exactly.
And give people they can get as much mountain goats as they desire.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the opportunity. Yeah.
Well, thanks everyone for listening. We'll see you next time.
Thanks so much for listening to this entire episode all the way to the end. Give yourself a pat on the back. And if you enjoy the show this much, consider becoming a Patreon member at patreon.com/RTDR. Thanks so much.